This is Calm AF, a podcast for humans who are hard on themselves. A podcast for the overthinkers, people pleasers, perfectionists, and overachievers. I'm Kristen Finch, and I'm going to teach you how to quiet that incessant negative chatter in your head. Because you know what a person with a calm mind can do? Anything they want. Grab your coffee, gorgeous soul, because today's the day you get Calm AF. Hello, welcome back to Calm AF. I am really excited to talk about this episode with you. I know that you are going to just soak it in as you're listening to it. You're going to be nodding along because, yeah, I know you. I know who listens to this podcast. You are ambitious. You are a high achiever. You are a go, go, go. And you keep finding yourself burnt out, right? At the end of it, you're like, I'm not going to get burnt out this time, but you do. So funny little story. I actually already had this episode recorded, but just this morning I was talking to a client and she shared a story that was so perfect. It just captured exactly the heart of this episode, and it was too good not to include. So I scrapped the original recording and I am re-recording it for you now. So let's talk about this. If you have ever felt like no matter how much time you take off, you're still exhausted. If you feel like you cannot seem to break the cycle of, going 1,000,000 miles an hour or collapsing and going 0 miles an hour, then this is the episode for you. Because I'm going to share my client's story of how she broke free from this burnout cycle. Not by, doing less for a week or trying harder or pushing herself through for a week, but by completely transforming the way she approached this break. We're going to talk also about why burnout is so common. People seem to beat themselves up for this burnout thing, but it's so common. I want to talk about why. And I also want to talk about why ambition isn't a problem. Your drive, your just ambitious energy isn't the problem. It's the energy behind it. It's the fuel of your ambition that is what's creating this cycle of burnout. And it's really costing you. It's really costing you. So I want to talk about all of those things. I want to talk about how to break the cycle and why it matters. Why do you want to break this cycle? Okay, because here's the truth. When you stop swinging between hypervigilant and hypovigilant, when you stop swinging between going 1,000,000 miles an hour and just shutting down and collapsing, when you start aligning your energy, everything will change. So let me tell you this story. Now, before we started working together, my client's typical time off of work, specifically holiday breaks, always looked the same. Right? They always followed the same pattern. She would have this idea of like, ooh, I've got a week off and here is what it's going to be. I'm going to rest and I'm going to have some fun and I'm going to get so much done. All of these things that I keep saying, as soon as I have some time off, I'm going to do it this week. And that almost never happened. Almost never. So either she would get to finally her first day off of her break, and she was so exhausted from pushing so hard and just hustling all the time that she would become the couch. That's what we call it. She said I would melt in the couch. I call it this hypovigilant state of like, you are the couch, because that's not rest. I don't know if you understand this. The reason why when you numb out for like a day or a week or however long, when you are just a couch, that's not restful. That is not restorative, because maybe your body is still, but do you know how much work you're doing trying to not get up off that couch, trying to stay on that couch? So your body is still, but everything else is busy, right? In that mental tug of war, you're laying on that couch, but are you feeling rested? You're beating yourself up for not being productive. And then trying to get up like, okay, fine, get up and do the things. So every single break, she would either end up mad at herself because she was a couch for a week and got nothing done, or mad at herself because she got a lot of things done, but she feels just as exhausted as she did when the break started. Like she would feel more depleted than when she left. And this cycle doesn't just affect this 1 week, right? It didn't just affect her energy in that 1 week. It affects everything because there was no break. It was always burnout looks like, exhaustion, but it's also what's leading up to the exhaustion. So it affected everything. She would go back to work still feeling burnt out. And that, when you don't have a break from this burnout cycle, it affects everything, your confidence, your creativity, your just basic ability to enjoy your life, right? My client was always exhausted and just never felt satisfied. But this holiday break was different. She decided all of the work that she's been doing, she just made a decision that this break was going to be different. And instead of falling into that burnout cycle, that hypervigilant or be a couch loop, she did something new. She decided to trust what she felt like was the right thing. So when she stopped working, she was very tired, so she started with rest. But not the kind of rest where she became a couch, not the kind of rest because I have no choice. My body is so exhausted that I can't get up off this couch. It was intentional. It was my body is giving me signals that I need to rest, so I'm going to rest. So her break started with, she's like, I slept a lot. She's like, I napped, I slept in. She let her body recover without the mental gymnastics of the guilt, right? She just trusted her body would get the rest and then her energy would return. And that's what happened. And when that flicker of energy came back, she didn't leap into catch-up mode. Okay, now I've got my energy back. Now it's time to burn through all these projects to catch up on all the shit that I missed while I was resting. She didn't do that. She just asked herself one simple question. What would feel good right now? What do I want to do? And her first answer kind of surprised her a little bit. It was small. She's like, I think I want to take a shower. Not because she had to take a shower, because it felt good to take care of herself in that way. And from there, momentum built naturally. What feels good next? I think I'll have a cup of tea. So by the end of the week, she tells me, she's like, here is how this week off went. I rested, truly, I thoroughly rested. I had fun, and I got so much done. And I was like, oh, hold up, you did it. The way we all go into those breaks hoping we're going to come out of them, rested, had some fun, got some shit done. She did it. She rested, she recharged, she got it done, not because she forced herself, but because she wanted to. For the first time in her life, maybe, she came back to, after a break, feeling energized, refreshed. And the biggest thing, I think, was just at peace with how she spent that time. She didn't go back to work mad because she needed more time. She didn't go back to work exhausted because she pushed herself for a week. She was at peace with how she spent her time. This is how you break that burnout cycle. By how you spend your off time and by how you spend your on time. So let's talk about why burnout happens, right? Because it's not unique to my client. It's a pattern I see in all of you, all of my ambitious loves, and it's no wonder, right? High achievers often have a very complicated relationship with rest, right? Your higher level thinking brain is like, yeah, I know I need rest. But the rest of your stories, your nervous system is like, you should feel guilty. What about all the things you needed to do? What about all the things you've been saying you were going to do? You should feel guilty when you rest. And so then you try and rest, but what happens then? You can't turn your mind off, which is why it doesn't actually feel like rest. Now, ambition isn't the problem, okay? Ambition is so great. I've been telling people this. again and again and again, because they're like, okay, if I want to break this burnout cycle, then maybe I need to be less ambitious. No. The problem is the energy, the thoughts behind that ambition. Most ambitious people are being fueled by fear. Fear of failure, fear of falling behind, fear of losing momentum. Ambitious people often, when they're fueled by fear, feels like you are standing there and you know those plate spinners? It's like you've got 100 plates spinning in the air and someone then tells you like, you should rest. And you're like, that's a great idea. However, if I take my eye off any of these plates right now, they're all going to come crashing down. It's not just one plate I'm worried about. I can maybe handle one plate. But if I take my eye off this, if I stop hustling, if I stop being hypervigilant, all of it's going to come crashing down. And that is the fear that creates the sense of urgency that keeps you in the cycle, that keeps you in overdrive. So even when you're trying to rest, the whole system is like, not really. Like keep one eye open, keep your mind on everything, at least keep overthinking it, right? Because then maybe we can try and convince ourselves that you are doing something, right? It just doesn't work. Or you spend the whole time that you are resting feeling guilty, beating yourself up. That's not rest, that's survival mode. And there is such a high cost. What it's costing you to keep repeating this burnout cycle. It doesn't just feel bad, it has real consequences. This is the other piece. I just want to grab people by the cheeks and say, you aren't doing what you think. You're trying so hard to be healthy. You are hurting yourself. You're hurting your body, your immune system, all of that. I'm not even going to get into that, the physical manifestation of the burnout cycle. But some of the other things, your energy, it has consequences on your overall energy because your rest isn't restorative. It's filled with, get up and go, or I can't turn anything off, which means that when you do try to rest, you are still feeling depleted and drained. It affects your confidence. You're constantly feeling like you're behind, and that just chips away at your ability to trust yourself. It affects your creativity, right? Every time you are in this exhaustive state, whether it's in hypovigilance or hypervigilance, whichever side of the spectrum you're on, you are absolutely blocking your creativity. We can't access our neocortex when we are in survival. It's just not a thing. It affects your relationships. It's hard to be present when you're in survival, when you are in that fight or flight or hypervigilant, hypovigilant state, and your joy. This may be the saddest part for me, is that life, this one precious life, it just becomes an endless checklist and a to-do list where even our accomplishments don't feel fulfilling, right? Think about that. How many times have you reached a goal and just moved right past it, immediately on to the next thing without even pausing to celebrate? That's what burnout steals from you, your joy. So let's talk about how to break free. The first thing is to understand that rest isn't about collapsing. Rest isn't about numbing out. Rest needs to be the time when you're recalibrating. Rest happens when your nervous system is regulated. It's not the other way around. It's not like if I slow down, then I will be regulated. That's not what burnout looks like. It's you are dysregulated in that rest. When you're stuck in fight or flight or freeze or fawn, your body can't restore itself because you are in that survival mode. But when you step out of that, everything changes. So for my client on her break, it started with her asking herself one simple question. Once I am done restoring, right? When I'm letting myself, giving myself full permission to rest without guilt, and I feel the first little flicker of energy, I'm going to ask myself, what feels good right now? And that question may seem small, but it is revolutionary, right? Because that question shifts you out of should and into alignment. It tells your body, I trust you. I trust you to know what to do. And I know that when I am regulated and I'm listening to what my body says, it will tell me what to do after that. I will take the first step. And then once I get to the first step, I'll know what to do next. Right? This question allows you to stop forcing yourself into extremes because you're asking what feels good. It doesn't feel good to be a couch to numb out. It doesn't. You might think that's what you need. You might think you're resting. That doesn't feel good. How many times after you have numbed out on the couch do you get done and be like, gosh, that really felt good? 0. Same thing when we're pushing ourselves. So why is ambition not the problem? Because this is oftentimes the next question. Like, if I want to slow down, then I need to bring my ambition down a few notches. You don't. You do not need to stop being ambitious. Your ambition is one of your greatest strengths. It's one of the best things about you. It's just the energy behind it. So when your ambition is fueled by that alignment, what feels good? It feels expansive. It feels inspiring. You can move towards your goals with ease and clarity. But when it's fueled by fear, it's exhausting. It feels like you're constantly running away from something or running a race that you're never going to win. The key to breaking this cycle is to shift from fear-driven ambition to aligned ambition. That is where the magic happens. And when you do this, when you break the cycle, everything changes. Your rest actually feels restorative. Like you wake up in the morning and you actually feel refreshed and energized, not guilty or drained. Your actions they start to feel effortless. And I don't mean you're not putting effort into them. It just feels more like a flow. You're no longer forcing yourself to just get things done. You are acting because it's what you want to do for yourself. It's like you're taking care of yourself by taking action. Instead of being like, I have to get off this couch and get things done. You're like, no, I want to. One of the things my client said this morning when she was telling the story is she got up late. And, of course, that can get us into a whole thing. But she got up late and her first thought was just get out of the house. But then she's like, I paused and I decided to make my bed and do my dishes. And I'm so glad that I did that. And it wasn't she wasn't beating herself up, telling herself to do it before you left. She was like, I want to feel like I'm taking care of myself. And when I come home and my bed's not made and my dishes are in the sink, my afternoon self is going to be like, man, you could have done this earlier. So that's what I mean by it feels effortless. It's because I want to do this for myself. Other things that happen, you trust yourself. You can stop second guessing every little decision and start moving with that confidence and that creativity, all of the things that are blocked when we are just constantly spending our time in that fear-fueled ambition. All of those things that are blocked, our creativity, our confidence, our clarity, that all comes back. And that's how you can actually feel fulfilled. The success that you have worked so hard for doesn't just look good on paper, but it feels good too. So that's the reason why it just matters so much to break this cycle. You can wake up with energy and clarity and excitement. You can achieve big things, get all the goals, be ambitious AF without sacrificing your well-being. That is what's possible. Now, this transformation is not about working harder. It's not about doing less. It's about learning how to be ambitious from a regulated state. Now, we have talked about this a million times. You already know there's about 300 episodes on regulating your nervous system, aligning your energy. So you already know that. I wanted today's episode to be showing you what is possible and why it matters. Take all of the things. Don't just know this information. Go do something. Ask yourself today, what would feel good? What would I want to do? And then take that action from an inspired place, from a self-care place. All right. That's what I wanted to share with you today. If this resonates, if you're like, yes, 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 I'm in, there's a few ways that I can help you break this cycle. First and foremost, if you are a high level, high performer, ambitious overachiever, and you would like to actually enjoy the life that you have created, that you've worked so hard for, you would probably be the best fit for my private coaching. This is high level support. It's for a very specific person. You can take the coaching quickly and go out and apply it. I will put the link to apply in the show notes. But the other thing is I have Regulated. It's a self-paced course, and it's going to help you understand your nervous system so that you can create your own plan, so you can move yourself out of this burnout cycle. That is very much a self-paced course. It is a DIY, but it's got everything that you need to bring you from awareness of your dysregulation patterns, whether you spend more time in hypervigilance or hypovigilance, or you vacillate between the two, and then taking that information and making a plan to change it. That the link for Regulated is in the show notes. There's also an upgrade if you want to have my support while you work through the Regulated course. That is also there too. That's called Mastering Calm AF. Those are the 3 ways that we can work together. Here's what I want you to do. No matter what it is, no matter how you move forward, because your breakthrough is closer than you think. You have all the tools. You just need to figure out how to use them without pushing, so many times people are trying to create peace through hypervigilance. That's not how it works. But you are so much closer than you think. You just need to take the first step. Ask yourself the question, what sounds good? What would feel good? What do I want to do? And then take that step. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening. And before you go, one more thing. So as you know, I am slightly obsessed with helping as many humans tap into their calm AFness as possible. So if this podcast has helped you, would you please leave a review, make sure you're subscribed, and share it with your friends. Also, make sure you head on over to KristenFinch.com to see how you can work with me. You can sign up for my emails and get any other goodies I have available. Until next week, I love you so much. I am so grateful that you're here. I'll see you next time.